You know what separates the living from the truly alive? It's not money. It's not power. It's the dreams they buried 6 feet deep before they even gave them a fighting chance. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you will change how you see everything you've ever wanted. Society's got a funny way of teaching us to be practical, to settle, to trade our visions for security. They dress it up nice, call it maturity, wisdom even. But here's the truth. They don't want you knowing every single thing you see around you, every building, every invention, every breakthrough started as a dream someone refused to kill. Your mind doesn't create fantasies to torture you. Those persistent thoughts, those images of who you could become, what you could build, they're not random. They're blueprints. Your subconscious is smarter than any advisor, any critic, any voice telling you to play it safe. It shows you possibilities, because somewhere deep in your wiring, you've got what it takes to make them real. Most people die with their music still inside them. Not because they lacked talent, not because they lacked opportunity, but because they underestimated the one thing that could have set them free. Don't be most people. Let me tell you something about dreams that nobody wants to admit. We live in a world that's built entirely on them, yet we're taught from the moment we can understand language to distrust our own. Think about that for a second. Every morning you wake up in a bed someone dreamed of manufacturing, in a house someone dreamed of designing, checking a phone someone dreamed of inventing, and yet when your own dreams come knocking, you're supposed to tell them to wait outside like they're not good enough to come in. It's madness, but it's the kind of madness we've all agreed to participate in because it feels safer than the alternative. Here's what I've learned running businesses, dealing with people, watching empires rise and fall. The ones who make it, the ones who actually leave a mark on this world, they're not smarter than you. They're not luckier. They're not blessed with some special gift you don't have. All they've got is something simpler and far more dangerous. They take their dreams seriously, not in some flowery, motivational poster kind of way. I'm talking about treating a dream like it's a contract with yourself that you'd rather die than break. That's the difference. That's the whole game right there. You see, most people, they get a vision of something better. Maybe it's starting a business. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's changing careers at 50, at 60, at 70. Doesn't matter what it is. What matters is what happens next. They get excited for about 48 hours, maybe a week, if they're particularly inspired. Then reality comes knocking. The bills arrive. The kids need something. The car breaks down. Work gets stressful. And slowly, quietly, without even noticing it's happening, they start negotiating with that dream. They tell themselves they'll get to it later, when things calm down, when they have more time, more money, more energy. And you know what? Later never comes. It can't. Because later isn't a place on the calendar. It's where dreams go to die with dignity, dressed up in the respectable clothes of responsibility and practicality. But let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about this. When you're lying there at night, in those quiet moments before sleep takes you, what thoughts keep coming back? What scenarios does your mind play out when it thinks nobody's watching? Those aren't random firings of neurons looking for something to do. That's your deepest self trying to communicate with your conscious mind, trying to show you a map of where you're supposed to go. Your subconscious doesn't deal in fantasy, it deals in potential. It shows you things you could actually achieve if you stopped apologizing for wanting them. I've watched people spend 30 years in jobs that slowly kill their spirit, and when you ask them why they stay, they've got 1,000 rational reasons. Security, benefits, pension, they're not wrong. Those things matter. But here's what they're not calculating in that equation. The cost of betraying yourself every single day. You can't put that on a spreadsheet, but it shows up everywhere else. It shows up in your energy levels, in your relationships, in the way you look in the mirror and barely recognize who's looking back. There's a price for ignoring your dreams, and it's compounding interest. Every day you don't pursue what you're meant to pursue, the debt gets bigger. Now, I'm not saying quit your job tomorrow and jump off a cliff hoping you'll learn to fly on the way down. That's not strategy. That's stupidity. But what I am saying is this. Your dreams deserve the same level of planning, commitment, and respect you give to everything else you take seriously. You plan your retirement. You plan your vacations. You plan your meals, for God's sake. But your dreams, those you leave to chance, to someday, to when the stars align. Meanwhile, the person who's half as talented as you, but twice as committed to their vision, is out there building exactly what you're still thinking about. The psychology behind this is fascinating, and it's something I've studied extensively because understanding people is how you win in any arena. There's a concept called cognitive dissonance. It's when your actions don't match your beliefs, and your brain has to resolve that tension. Most people resolve it by changing their beliefs. They wanted to start a business, but they never did, so instead of feeling bad about it, they convinced themselves it was a stupid idea anyway. They wanted to write, but they never wrote. so they tell themselves they probably weren't talented enough. They wanted to travel, but they never went, so they decide they're actually homebodies who never really wanted adventure. See how that works? Your brain will literally rewrite your identity to protect you from feeling like a failure. It's trying to help, but it's actually destroying you. Here's the truth about dreams that makes most people uncomfortable. They require you to become someone you're not yet. That's not a bug. That's the entire point. The you that exists right now with your current habits, your current mindset, your current skills, that version of you is perfectly designed to maintain your current life. If you want a different life, you need to become a different person. And that transformation, that's where most people tap out. Because becoming someone new means killing off parts of who you are now. It means admitting you were wrong about some things. It means uncomfortable conversations, difficult decisions, and long stretches where you're not good at what you're trying to do. That's the price of admission. And most people take one look at that price tag and decide they'd rather keep window shopping. But let me tell you what happens when you actually commit. When you stop treating your dreams like a hobby and start treating them like a mission, something shifts in you that's almost impossible to explain to someone who hasn't experienced it. You start waking up different. You start moving through the world with purpose instead of just momentum. The things that used to drain you don't have the same power anymore because you're pulled forward by something stronger than you're pushed back by fear or comfort. I've seen this transformation in people, and I've lived it myself. It's real, but you can't rent it. You can't try it on for size. You have to go all in before you see the returns. Now here's where it gets interesting, especially for those who think they're too old to start chasing dreams. Your brain doesn't care how old you are. Neuroplasticity, that's your brain's ability to form new connections, to learn, to grow. That doesn't come with an expiration date. You know what does expire? Time. Every day you spend convincing yourself you're too old is a day you can't get back. Meanwhile, there are 70-year-olds learning new languages, starting businesses, writing their first books, finding love, reinventing themselves completely. What's the difference between them and someone who gave up at 40? It's not capability, it's not opportunity, it's decision. They decided their dreams were worth pursuing regardless of what the calendar said. And for the younger ones listening, thinking you've got all the time in the world, let me give you some hard truth. Time is your biggest asset and your biggest enemy. You've got energy, you've got health, you've got fewer obligations weighing you down, but you also live in a world designed to distract you into oblivion. Every app, every platform, every piece of content is engineered to grab your attention and hold it hostage. You can spend 5 years scrolling through other people's lives and look up one day wondering where it all went. Your dreams don't care about your potential, they care about your action. And action delayed is just another form of decision. You're deciding against yourself every day. You wait. There's something else nobody talks about when it comes to dreams, and it's this: they evolve. The dream you have at 25 isn't the same dream you'll have at 45, and that's exactly how it should be. You're growing, your understanding is deepening, your values are shifting. But here's the trap. People use this evolution as an excuse for inaction. They say, well, I'll probably want something different later anyway, so why start now? That's coward's logic dressed up as wisdom. The dream you have right now, even if it changes later, even if it transforms into something unrecognizable, pursuing it teaches you things you can't learn any other way. It builds capabilities, connections, confidence. Even if you end up somewhere completely different than where you started, the journey wasn't wasted. Nothing you genuinely pursue is ever wasted. Let me tell you about fear. Because fear is the real enemy here. Not external circumstances, not lack of resources, not bad timing. Fear. But fear is clever. It doesn't usually show up wearing a mask that says, I'm fear, and I'm stopping you. No, it disguises itself. It shows up as practicality, as responsibility, as wisdom, as protecting yourself from disappointment. It shows up as other people's opinions, as market conditions, as not having the perfect plan. Fear has 1,000 faces, and it will use whichever one works on you. The only way to beat it is to recognize it for what it is and move forward anyway. Not because you're not afraid, but because what you're moving toward matters more than what you're afraid of. Here's something I want you to understand deeply. Regret is a heavier burden than failure. Failure is temporary. You try something, it doesn't work, you learn, you adjust, you try again. That's not a tragedy, that's education. But regret is permanent. It's looking back at your life and seeing all the things you could have done, should have done, would have done, if only you'd been braver. That weight doesn't get lighter with time, it gets heavier. And you can't go back and fix it. You can only live with it. I've sat across from people in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and you know what the ones with light in their eyes have in common? They went for it. Maybe they succeeded. Maybe they failed. Maybe they're still trying. Doesn't matter. What matters is, they didn't spend their lives as spectators. They got in the arena, they played the game, and the ones with that look of quiet desperation, they're the ones who played it safe. They did what they were supposed to do, followed the rules coloured inside the lines, and somewhere along the way they forgot that this is their one shot. There's no dress rehearsal. This is it. Your dreams are not frivolous. They're not selfish. They're not unrealistic just because they scare you. They're the truest thing about you. They're your soul's way of telling you who you're meant to become and what you're meant to contribute. And the world needs what only you can give. Not someday. Not when you're ready. Now. Because there's someone out there whose life will be changed by the thing you create, the business you build, the book you write, the art you make, the change you initiate. But they can't be impacted by the dream you keep locked in your head. It only counts when you bring it into the world.
So, here's what I need you to do.
And I'm being deadly serious. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting until you feel ready. Because that feeling never comes. Ready is something you become through action, not something you wait around for. Make a decision right now about one dream you're going to stop negotiating with. Just one. Pick it, commit to it, and then do one thing today, no matter how small, that moves you toward it. Tomorrow, do another thing. The day after, another. This is how empires are built, not through grand gestures and perfect conditions, but through consistent action in the direction of a vision that refuses to die.